The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Now broadcasting from the Right to Offend Media Studios in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, art, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report Live with Sam Whitfield.
But giving offense is good. In fact, it's essential.
Well, welcome, folks, to today's Monday edition of the Whitfield Report podcast, and happy March. Depending on when you're listening to this, we may or may not be involved in a war with Iran. But that's death to the Ayatollah. So everything checks out. But joining me for today's show, as always, is the incredible Jake Widmer, who, man, I've gotten lots of positive feedback on American Inferno. But Jake Widmer has a unique ability to take really gritty and honestly complex topics like human trafficking and condense them down to their bare essence. Which is what he did in his new book, Raid on Maplewood Hollow, which is fantastic. It's coming soon, and Jake has a bevy of other books that he's writing in this story arc in the Chris Foley series. I'm here for it, and I dig it. So, Jake, welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thanks for having me again. Love coming on here, talking shop with you. And I appreciate you taking the time to be one of the beta readers for Maplewood Hollow.
Yeah, well, thank you for sending me an art copy. Believe it or not, I don't know if this means that I'm a psychopath, but this one was actually a light reading compared to reading, back through American Inferno, and that's saying something, considering that I'm dealing with political assassinations, and you're dealing with stories that are kind of adjacent to the whole Epstein thing, it seems like. So
yeah, we were talking off screen right before we started. This is, people are either going to say this is perfect timing or bad timing with all the recent leaks and everything. But I started writing this a couple months ago, before the recent leaks and everything, all the horrible shit that came out about what our powers that be are doing. But yeah, I'm glad you flew through it. It's my novella, just for people. I have one right here. It's a pretty thin little action story. It's meant to be shocking in some instances, but that's the point. Human trafficking isn't Teletubbies. So
not at all. Although, with some of the PBS executives being listed in the files,
it was I told you, and I was talking to our good buddy Richard Maverick about this one. I the first little bit of the Epstein files were released, and me going down the rabbit hole, because of course I did, got really, really angry about how these people are probably going to never be punished for what they've done at all, not just to kids, but to other victims of human trafficking as well.
Right.
And I always say that my writing is a form of therapy, so I just started writing, and that ended up becoming the next, the start of the next arc post Merc War, because Merc War kind of ended the whole arc of Chris Foley figuring out who he is, becoming a vigilante, establishing the world. Raid on Maplewood Hollow is going to be a whole new era of the Foleyverse going forward.
Merc War was fantastic, and so I was actually thinking about this today. Like when you finish something that like you're really proud of, I don't know about you, but like I always have the thing, like I just did with American Inferno. Like I think American Inferno is my best work, and I'm like sitting here now being like, how do I top this? And uh have you ever felt the same way with your work,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess?
I felt that mostly, not really because Merc War, because Merc War I started doing the Zach James technique, where I just started working on multiple projects at once. So I knew where I was going, and I know that like not everything's going to top each other, but I really only felt that after my third book, The Real Monster, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing after that, because that's my personal favorite that I wrote so far out of everything because of how different it is from the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Um, my whole I try not to get bogged down in that. When my whole writing thing is keep I just keep typing until I'm done for the day. Like I'm gonna keep going with Chris Foley until I either like can't write anymore or he dies. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And it's funny that we both have multiple books and we call it the Zach James technique.
Yeah.
I have the same thing where I write like you know, 2 or 3 books at a time. But it's you know, shout out to Zach James because we should probably give you like, I don't know, trademark royalties or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
for, you know, coining the Zach James technique or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
So, and yeah, he's got a new book
yeah.
coming here soon too, I think.
I'm
So,
so hyped for. I gotta shout my boy out really quick. I am so hyped for the next Modern Mercenary book. It's not even funny.
I just finished listening to the audiobook version of oh, this is going to be really bad because I just finished listening
Is it
to it, but
Occupant? Is it Occupant
uh
or the other one?
it's Occupant.
Okay.
The you know, the second book in his sci-fi
Hmm.
series,
Yeah, it's so
which is really good, especially like considering that he narrates this one and he's actually like a fantastic
yeah,
narrator.
yeah, he is.
So,
He is.
but
But yeah, the Zach James technique has been serving me well lately, man. I've just been cruising through, like laying out and finally doing like a plan instead of just winging it like I have been in the past. So
yeah, ever since I publish like 2 or 3 books a year now with that, you know,
yeah.
with that technique. And
Yeah.
some of them are, you know, novellas too. But anyway, getting back to Raid on Maplewood Hollow and kind of this whole, I guess, arc that you're
Mhm.
going with, what was your impetus to say, okay, I'm going from more Merc Wars to you know, pedo hunting, for lack of a better term? Like, what was it that made you wake up and be like, I'm gonna do this?
So Merc War was the closest to like I would say like as Tom Clancy as I'm gonna get for a while, right? Got multiple different locations, more espionage, more flat out like gunfights in the open streets. At post Merc War, spoiler at the end of Merc War, Chris Foley decides that I'm gonna stop trying to live this peaceful life. It's not for me. He had made arrangements with some politicians back home that they would decide to look the other way, and he becomes the full out vigilante that people call the Demon of Pittsburgh, essentially, at this point. And I wanted to make Maplewood Hollow, or what would eventually become Maplewood Hollow, a little bit more grounded than the stuff happening in Merc, while also being like, welcome to the shit. This is a whole new era of Chris Foley where it's more violent. I'm not holding back anymore, and I don't care if you're gonna comment or like review bomb me about it. And it's also setting up. He's going more vigilante, so it's going to be more men's adventure fiction, Mac Bolan, Able Team esque as well.
Yeah, this one reminds me of a lot of the Punisher War Journal series from
Mm-hmm.
the 80s,
Yeah,
which the original run of the Punisher is fantastic, and this definitely reminded me of that. So, and
Yeah, it's definitely has what you read. I'm not going to say the scene, but it has one of the more violent interrogations that I write, because I always try to, especially I always try to have at least like one interrogation thing happen in all
mm-hmm.
my books, and it says definitely one of the more violent stuff. And some of the people like Maverick loved it, which I was like, I knew he would, I knew you'd like it. But a lot of the people, like some of my family members, read it, and that was a discussion that had to be had after that. But yeah, it worked. It shocked the reader, so I'm happy with it.
I this is bad because I read it and I'm like, it didn't phase me at all. I'm like, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, but like, I wrote like 2 interrogation scenes in my book. So, and I think it was someone said that you and I are just going to try and outdo each other with who can write the more gritty.
Yeah. Our buddy in the Discord, Steven, I'm being a bad friend. I forget his last name, but he had just finished reading Steel City Vengeance, and he texted me after he finished the interrogation scene in that, and it was just all caps, like, "How do you think of that?" So I'm like, I'm doing something right. I'm
Yeah,
getting the
he
I
did the
want.
same thing to me with the cactus torture scene in in Night of the Vigilante, and I texted him back and I'm like, well, if you want the truth, I literally looked up like what the cartel does to torture people,
Mhm.
and I just had Miller basically do everything that the cartels do to innocent people to them, and he's like, what does your search history look like? And I'm like,
It's it's done. We're done. We're going to jail. So if it ever comes down to that, we're done.
yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but you have Maplewood Hollow, and you have one of the best villains, I think, you know, in this arc that you've done.
Mhm.
Like, as far as villains go,
Yeah.
you're one of the best, I think, at writing like really grounded villains instead of like over the top you know, bad guys, which can certainly be fun, but you know, I think grounded villains are really good to write too.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. Because again, like coming off of Merc War, where we're talking about like Jason Millwater, who's like the closest to a Bond villain I'm ever gonna get, to Arthur Croft in this, who like I hated having to write the scenes from his point of view, because I'm just like I wanted to kill him off so easily. So if I hated writing about it and you loved him as a villain, I hope everybody else agrees that he's a great villain. So
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so you have Merc Wars, and then you have other books that you're working on too. So what have you like developed a process for like mapping out the stories like long term, or what
So
is your
so
technique for this one?
I know like the major, like Raid on Maplewood Hollow and is kind of the way I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. So the Raid on Maplewood Hollow is one of my novellas, and the way I'm going to be working my novellas from now on, they're still canon, right? With the rest of the Folly series, they're mentioned, stuff's brought up, but they're going to be more like one shot kind of adventures, just to like take up a little bit of your day, not like my full installments of the series. So right now, at least, Raid on Maplewood Hollow is the only novella that I have planned out. After that, it's just main installment, main installment. I have the next, I would say, well, I showed you, and I'm going to show later on. I have the next 2 already done and ready to go. And then I have a spin off full length following my Youngbloods characters, and I have one more that I'm working on as well.
That's that's quite an interesting path. Although I can say how many different. We've got multiple books in the series, and I'm really bad at mapping. All I do is I keep just like a running note on my phone of kind of the timeline.
Yeah.
So
Like I know where I want this arc to like end up, but I just need to like get the books leading up to that. That's the thing. Is I like where I wanted to end. I want to start writing that like right now, but like I know I have to like build up to that, because that's going to be a huge thing for the Follyverse. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of the Follyverse, though, you also did something that I think was really impressive, which is you actually made a live action trailer for your book series.
Yes.
And I remember when you first came on the show, you said that you had a background in filmmaking a bit. So, how do
Yeah.
you feel like your filmmaking skills have translated into your writing?
So I'm gonna be honest. My background in film is mostly just spending entire days in my high school's video production class with my boys, like skipping as many classes as possible. Those guys are my brothers. They're BCU Media. You could find them on Instagram. But they were the ones that brought it all together. They're the ones who I like loosely brought up one to do something feel like live action of Folly, and then they took it and made it into the short trailer for Homecoming, my first book that's out now. All the credit goes to them. Mark, Noah, Nate, the entire crew, Griffin, who played Chris Folly. Uh, I'm forgetting the name of the actress that played Rachel Mulker for that one scene, but she was fantastic. My background for that was just me being on set, trying to like talk to Griffin and get the right like look for Folly, how he could move and stuff. Because I'm no like tactical genius or anything, but
Right.
I know how to handle a gun, and none of the other people there really like knew how to do it. So like that was my thing to show him like the proper way to hold his props and everything, how to move with it. That's pretty much all I did there. But everything else is all my boys at BCU Media.
Well, that's still more than, a lot of people in Hollywood seem to do. You're ahead of the pack. Have you ever like considered possibly like writing out a screenplay or something and getting any of your books adapted into like movies or shows or anything like that?
Me and BCU have discussed it multiple times, wanting to do more for Chris Folly because like they would want to do something like leading up to a release of a title, but I'm a madman and I'm moving way too fast for that. So like, down the
Yeah.
line, down the we're it. Sorry, my stutter's kicking in. The door's open for more live action Chris Folly. So just right now, with all of our schedules going on right now, it's difficult for us to all get together, get the entire crew back because we already decided that if we were to do another Chris Folly thing, the crew we had for the Homecoming trailer was phenomenal. So we're gonna try to get all of them back. Maybe try to get Griffin back to come back and play Chris, but if that isn't the case, we'll find somebody else. It's all just a scheduling thing for us at this point.
Has producing that trailer changed like your writing process as far as like visualizing like how the characters look at all in
Yeah.
the book? Like for example, when I write, John Ryder, like I'm picturing Scott Eastwood as
Mm-hmm.
John Ryder. Like that's who I, choose. But then like, Luke Goddard and I have talked, he and I have talked, and he has said that, if I were if I were to come to him with like a John Ryder, he would be interested in playing that character. I've also kind of pictured him at times as John Ryder, and then Richard Maverick like as Jason Miller or something. Um, you know, I guess how do you visualize characters when writing or anything?
So whenever I'm writing them out, it all kind of just like it changes sometimes. Sometimes Chris Foley is Dylan O'Brien from American Assassin. Sometimes he's like like I've been catching up on Yellowstone lately for Marshall's coming out tonight, so I see him for some reason as Luke Grimes for right now. But like
Yeah.
whenever we were looking for, I had no really say in the casting for this trailer at all because we reached out to people students at Point Park and they were interested in it. When I first saw the photo of Griffin, I was like, I don't want to say I was disappointed, but like I wasn't like, okay, well, like we're getting down to the wire here. Let's see how he does. But whenever that guy came in on set and we started talking about with the bare minimum info about Chris Foley, he became him right then and there. Like he would be off to the side between Cage's reading Homecoming, be like, okay, got it. So sometimes when I'm writing now, I am seeing Griffin more as Chris Foley and the actress playing Rachel. But all the other characters, it kind of bleeds into it because I think I've talked to you about this before, especially like my Youngblood characters. Those are all based off my friends. Like Skip Chambers is my buddy Mark from BC.
Right.
Bunch it all like, I picture my friends more because like those that's my like my best experience from people that I'm writing. Like they're literally the characters, so I'm using them.
Yeah, that's always cool. Which series do you uh I don't want to say do you enjoy writing one series more than the other, but like do do you find that like do you find that you're in a mood to write one series more than another, or what's
Yeah,
kind of your process for that?
yeah. So obviously, like the main Chris Foley books is the heart and soul of this series, but I'm starting to plan out spin-off novels focusing on the Youngblood characters, that Skip Chambers, Jack Proto, and Carly CC Carson, because I don't want to say the ideas I have for them don't work well for Chris and the Pittsburgh crew, but I still want to have them like leave the U.S. and go do stuff. But a lot of times it doesn't make sense since Chris is a Pittsburgh-based vigilante. He's more like
Right.
around there. The Youngbloods are essentially mercenaries. They're hired guns. They can go wherever they want. So the I don't have one here to show you. I'm still writing it. The spin-off Youngblood novella I have planned out is going to be in I made up a fictional country in West Africa, and they're and they're going over there. So, and I can't have Chris go leave Pittsburgh and go there right now, at least.
Yeah. I yeah, it's interesting that you say that you know that you have like a made up country in Africa, because I have the same thing kind of planned for an Africa thing, because I have my geography is it's not bad, but it's like I
Mine's
don't want
horrible.
to I well I mean mine is to the extent that like I generally know where things are, but I don't want to be one of those guys who writes like something in Africa and have a reader be like, "Well, that's not actually
Yeah,
accurate." And it's like,
yeah,
"Well, I'm only doing a Google Maps,
yeah, yeah.
thing."
Yeah, but I love writing each series equally because, especially where I'm at right now, a lot of the stuff is bleeding over because a lot of stuff is happening at the same time or like right after something else happened. So even though like going forward, like I'll text you a photo of it later, but I don't have a cover of it. Like the Youngblood books are gonna be labeled like the Youngbloods. It's still part of the Chris Foley series.
Yeah. Yeah, well that's cool. Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing I have for, the Jason Miller series, where like Miller's in the John Ryder books and vice versa,
Hmm.
but whenever Jason Miller takes center stage in a story, it's usually because John Ryder's busy in DC or something, and then, usually Jason Miller is like indisposed in South America
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, and it's fun for me to just explore different like topics in the world right now, different aspects of like criminal organizations or wars without having to uproot Chris Foley, who just went through hell in his last book, and I'm throwing him into West Africa right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly you know one of the things I kind of find ironic is I used to criticize like Marvel for doing like for having like so many different like spin-offs and whatnot, and yet here I am kind of doing the same thing
Yeah, I really don't have a
a bit.
problem with shared universes at all because, and whenever I was on talking to our buddies Luke and Nathaniel on the Adventure Fiction podcast, the topic of the night was like Mac Bolan, the Executioner, right, and all those spin-offs. Those guys were doing that much better than I think Marvel ever could do now. So you and I are following in the footsteps of those guys, mixing our stuff together. So I really don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah. Well, and then I also have my Cop series, which is like which is in a completely different universe, and that's interesting because like I'm dealing with like more ground and like day to day
Hmm.
cop stuff. So, which is interesting because I have a lot of readers who are either current or former
Yeah, same,
cops.
same,
So
same. I have a lot of same deal. I have a lot of former or current cops reading my stuff, guys who like me who are into tactical stuff, but we're not any position at all for. We're just like prepared civilians. So I'm always trying to like please both of those groups at the same time.
yeah. Um, and then like as far as reading, like, do you read any authors like outside of the indie
Yeah.
sphere these?
Yeah, I got the like besides like your stuff, Zach's, Luke's, all that stuff. I read. Obviously, I'm a big Mac Bolan fan, so I read anything by Don Pemberton or the people that he signed up for. My basement bookshelf is filled with all of it. Um, I besides your thing, the most recent thing that I read was Sandstorm Creed by B.D. Fleming. Which holy shit, this guy's going places. He's awesome. It's got it's kind of like a faith-based action thriller in Africa too. So that's the thing that's going on. But then I just got in today 10-Year 4 by I think his last name's Bordeaux. We've talked about that series before.
Yeah, I just finished reading. I just finished reading Eric Bishop's new novel Drexel, which is pretty good. Now I'm currently reading one of John le Carre's books, The Night Manager, which is so far I like the series better. But like also John le Carre was British, and so some of the slang and languaging, it's definitely different than
Yeah,
than
it is
you know,
different. That's something with like the British authors, especially somebody like him at the time it
yeah.
was written to. Yeah, but
So
yeah, I like to a lot of the best stuff I've read has been indie because we don't have to worry about pleasing some publisher overlord for it. Like I was talking to BD Fleming before, I'm like, dude, this book's gonna have big publishers shaking in its boots if word reaches them.
yeah. Well, and what's interesting too is there are a lot of traditional authors, or I should say former traditional authors, coming over to the indie space as well.
Mhm.
I I don't know if you saw my interview with Kyle Mills that I did last year, but like
Mhm.
I was able to have him on the show, and like I've been a fan of that guy, since he took over the mid trap series, and he did a fantastic job. But I actually think that I like his writing, uh, that he's done.
Mhm.
Maybe not more, but just as much, because it's his voice. He's not trying to,
Mhm.
write as Vince Flynn.
Yeah, which I agree with that, and that's what he should. That's what they should do, especially with all these other people. Like I think Ryan Steck just picked up another like contract of another former dead author, and I hope he's doing the same thing where he's not trying to like mimic because it's an American picking up, I think, a British author, so it is going to be different, you know.
Yeah, although let's see. Yeah, he picked up
Like, is it Hawk? Is that the character's name?
yeah,
Yeah,
he picked up Ted Bell's
yeah, and that's it.
so the interesting thing about Ted Bell is, because I actually know Ryan somewhat. The interesting about Ted Bell is an American, or
Oh,
was
okay,
an
I didn't know that.
American.
I didn't know that. I was looking out because at my job I see him a lot. I look at the back and I see like Lord Ted Bell. I was wrong. I'm mistaken.
Well, he writes Lord Alex Hawke, who is British.
Mm.
The other interesting thing though is like uh is the Hawke character is kind of like, is basically like a modern day James Bond.
Okay.
Um and he is British, and the so as everyone in the Discord knows, like I'm a diehard Bond fan, and when Ryan first started reading the Hawk series, I don't think he'd read like a Bond novel before, and I was like, really, you've never read like Casino Royale or anything? So I don't know if he's like since picked up any of the Fleming books, but I mean, I definitely think he should. So although he's got plenty to do now with his own series.
Yeah,
So
which is good. I love the Matthew Red series a lot. I think he just announced the fifth one coming out soon, which I'll be there for it for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like you
So
said too, like we talked about this in the past, but I just like the freedom that being indie gives us, because I doubt that this would be picked up for sure. And it kind of falls down. Do you know who John Lovell is?
yeah,
Yeah.
or wait, I've heard the name, but I don't think I know much about him other than
He's the Warrior Poet Society guy on YouTube.
oh, I've
Yeah.
heard of him, but I
So
don't.
he the thing that I find hilarious is he wrote like a nonfiction. I think it's called the Warrior Poet Way, which is like a whole like becoming a man of faith and providing for your family and something. He wrote, which was my favorite book of last year, The Lions of Mercer, which is funnily enough very similar to this, but it's definitely on a specific island owned by a specific billionaire politician. You know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would pick it up. And I was loving every second of it. On his Instagram, he was calling people out about how like I'm just going indie. I'm doing this myself, and he did. But so he went from being like a New York Times bestseller of that one to just saying screw it, I'm doing it this way. I want to tell my story, and he got it out indie that way. So that was badass that he did that.
Yeah, it's been. I'll tell you, it's been interesting doing this like as an indie author too, because like when I started when I started writing, like actually writing, I was still a kid. But when I started writing to publish, like I had just gone out of college and I was still looking at like, possibly doing like, marketing or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like I thought my writing was good, but like realistically, I don't think a publisher would have ever picked up any of my
Yeah,
books.
I feel that too. Like I think I'm at the point now. Like if I were to ever like get picked up, they would be like, okay, well we got to change a lot of everything here, and I wouldn't do that because the only ones I think that would be good would be Homecoming and then probably Killing Evil, because at that time I was trying to mimic what was popular in thriller genres then to the point now where I just don't care. I'm doing whatever I want.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difficult thing too. Is like from a marketing perspective, you definitely want to write something that you think people will definitely want to read. But at the same time, like, um, outside the box
Yeah.
thinking I find is great. Like when I started writing the Jason Miller series, like he had he had cameoed in one of the John Ryder books,
Yeah.
and
And
people wanted to know more about him. And I was thinking, well, like this character is going to be a one-off, and I'm not going to do anything with him. And I was surprised that like people, even yourself included, as you said, like people read the series now for Miller,
yep. Yeah, but Ryder's
which
great. But there would be no Shadows of Deception without Ryder, right? I still love reading about him. But
right,
keep Miller going, man.
right, and that's the character that like I didn't that like I was kind of like, well, I'm not sure if people will like this because he's kind of like a Clint Eastwood, man with no name ripoff, and he is. But I think that's
That's the
why,
charm. That's the
yeah.
chapter where you have him standing in the Oval Office of his poncho and cowboy. He does not give a fuck. So that's what I like about him.
Yeah, well, he's a little bit he's a little bit like, I don't want to say he's crazy, a man who you know
Yeah.
watched his wife, his pregnant wife die, and then gets brought back from the dead essentially. He may have a few screws loose or
Yeah,
something
and
to the point where
I think that's why guys and gals who read our genre, they like a little bit of that too. And you do a good job of like Now, obviously, if people work with Miller, they're used to him at this point. But every time he's around somebody else, they're like, "Oh." And I'm trying to do that, and I hope I'm succeeding just as well as you're doing. Whenever like somebody like new meets Chris Fall, and they're like, "This kid's insane."
Yeah, well, the other thing too is like the Man with No Name as a character, you know, that Clint Eastwood played, like he doesn't really have a backstory at all. It changes from movie to movie, and that's partially why I have Miller go under different names in
Mm-hmm.
certain books too, is kind of a homage to that, but also because there was never an origin story for the Man with No Name, really, I kind of wanted to give,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that character a background in, you know, in the modern
Yeah.
setting
Yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah,
So
and I think you're succeeding, man. Miller, like I keep telling you, keep him coming, man. I'm here for it.
yeah, whereas like John Ryder, he is an American James Bond. He's
Mm-hmm.
also kind of like a John. He's also kind of like a John Wick
Yeah,
character.
yeah, and I like that too because like while Bond can throw down, he's definitely not John Wick. So I like how you mix the two together.
Yeah. Well, it's you know, it's funny because John Wick, you know, by the time people, you know, see him in the first movie, like he's not really in his prime anymore. People forget he's retired. And John Ryder being like 32 at this point is, or no, actually 33 because he's a year younger. He's a year older than I am,
Yeah,
you know, canonically.
yeah,
He's kind of in his, he's kind of like what John Wick would be in his prime.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
um,
yeah, and like, and it's I think it's you have great characters, man, and people obviously love reading the stuff. But Miller, bring more Miller.
Roger that. So I'm right now I'm trying to like find like how I can incorporate like more, you know, like Western brands into the book too. So that's I'm not as big into product placement as Jack Carr is, but I'm starting to get there. I'm also learning more about Texas than I initially thought I would.
Yeah, and that's
So
something where the whole product thing, like I'm trying to like limit like the brands and stuff, but obviously like if a character like Chris Foley uses the Empress Tomahawk by Wingard Wearables, which if you need a concealed carry tomahawk, folks, you got to get one. You're not an American unless you're rocking a tomahawk in your pants every day.
yeah,
But like if it matters to the character, I'm gonna highlight it. But I'm trying. The only thing I really get in deep with is just like whatever gear they're using sometimes because I just love that shit. So I'm gonna put it in my books.
yeah. Well, and I'm also like I'm also partially a car guy, which is funny because I don't drive. Like, yeah, like obviously I had to give John Ryder like a 1967 Pontiac GTO because why not? It's basically the American version in my mind of the Aston Martin DB5.
Yeah, and like
So
you have that car, and then meanwhile in my books, Kyle turned his dead mom's minivan into essentially a tank. It's called the war van, and they're driving around in that.
yeah, which I enjoy. Yeah, that I mean that's the other thing is you know, like just doing like little you know, like, you know, minor product placements for stuff like that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, for sure.
So what is next in your you know, lineup for
So Raid on Maplewood Hollow is next. I'm hopefully gonna get it out this month. I've had issues of KDP setting release dates to them just either not doing that date or I close my computer, then I get a text message saying, "Hey, I didn't know your new book was out." So I'm not. It's gonna be out this month. Keep an eye on my Instagram. This is definitely gonna be out, but this month unless I get some other feedback done. So this is kicking off the new era. This is gonna be different, hopefully. But I have a new stamp on there. If it doesn't have the stamp, it's not real Chris Foley. But this is going to kick off the next era of the vigilante arc, is what I'm calling. So Randall Maplewood Hollows first. And then, so, spoiler again, if you read Merc War at the end, so this is technically what you got to go to next after Merc War, because this is mentioned at the end of Merc War. But then a name who has not been dropped since the third book is dropped at the end of Mercor, and that's my character Rachel Mulk, who Steven again loves because she went through more hell than all my characters combined in my series, and she vanished for a little bit. Well, she's coming back in Bare Knuckle, which is the next installment of Chris Folly, and it's going to be a showdown for the ages because you can see Chris and Rachel are about to throw down in an underground fight ring. And this is my huge homage to 80s and 90s martial arts movies, underground boxing. This takes place up in Toronto. And this was a blast to write and bring Rachel back after 4 or 5 books without her. So this is what she's been doing. And is she going to come back into the fold? Is she going to kill Chris? Is Chris going to kill her? Who knows what's going to happen, right? So there's this. And then after that, the next installment, I'm a madman. I'm an absolute madman, is going to be False Gospel, which this is going to be like definitely more of a closer to real monster, some horror vibes thrown in, a bit of cult action in there. This was a blast. This is probably my favorite that I've done besides Real Monster right here.
So holy shit, you've already written all of those too.
Yeah, I'm insane.
So yeah, people of the guy write a ton, which I do. I write every day. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
it's a poor sleep schedule, and also it's like I'm not trying to hype myself up here as being some like genius where I can't sleep because the ideas are in my head, but it's like I want to write it out for as long as I can. That's the thing. I mean, I have stories in my head.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I mean, as I wrote in my blog, on my Substack, sadly nobody reads. I like Substack is the one social media that like I can't for some reason like ever get traction.
I've given up.
And I don't know why, but like so my articles on X do well, and like on Facebook they do okay, but yeah. As I basically written in like my author blog, like yeah, I think like writing American Inferno was cathartic, to deal with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But yeah, like you, I'm an insomniac that just writes all the time.
You're talking about cathartic. So a big theme in Bare Knuckle, not spoil anything, is bringing old friends that you've cut ties with for whatever reason back into the fold. And as I was writing this, me and one of my good buddies who we had a falling out a couple years ago, we ended up hooking back up together, talking, and things are just like how it used to be before whatever happened. And that was very cathartic for me, for sure. So writing can definitely help you through a lot of shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely does. For me. And then, what's been really cool about podcasting too is like I interview so many authors now and just like fascinating people in general that almost every guest I have, with the exception of a few people, like give me ideas for like other stories. Not necessarily like by them saying anything directly about that, but just like our conversations inspire, more plots and whatnot, which I think is insanely cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm really excited what these next 3 are going to do for the Chris Folly series. As you saw, the covers are getting more. Yeah, I know. I'm going to catch smack for it. They are AI based, but
I don't.
I know. Not
yeah.
I'm talking about everybody else. Everybody else, but especially False Gospel. I am extremely happy with how this one turned out. Not just how the covers, but just the story and the action involved in it as well.
Yeah, well, that's actually something I want to talk to you about too. So, how has your experience been using like ChatGPT, or I guess Dolly, or whatever they're calling the image generator?
If AI ever becomes sentient, they're coming after me first because I treat that thing like a slave. If it doesn't like what it is, I just start cussing it out, and then it fixes it. It gets it right, because like getting this took multiple tries to get it right, because they were like I would give out perfect page descriptions of the characters and everything, and it just wouldn't be it. I had to gaslight it into thinking we were in the 70s to get like guns on the page for some reason. Yeah, I don't. If these things ever like go full Terminator, I'm done. I'm not coming after me first. I treat this thing like it's a slave.
Well, no, what's funny is my chat GPT is probably going to be fighting other chat GPTs, but like I have mine super based
Mhm. Oh,
at this point.
mine's starting to see the light and get base too, because you know how like it talks to you changes. It's starting to like get more like, oh, I'm talking to it, but the moment it insults me, I'm just back to it, man. It's making
Mine
me suffer.
mine thinks it's like a writing assistant, which it essentially is. It's like an editor. It's like an editor, and that I mean, and that's the other thing too is like the way you and I use AI. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but the way I use AI, like from writing, it's not like I'm only these people that like uses it to like create a slop. I have my first drafts, which are usually like a mess, and then I put like various chapters and scenes in there to like rework and polish it and clean it up a bit. So
Yeah,
um
I use it mostly just for my covers
yeah.
because I'm able to like get scenes from my books made without having to schedule a photo shoot, which down the line I might go back to how my first couple were where it was people on the cover, but again, it's a schedule thing. And I'm
Yeah.
cracking these fuckers out so fast that I just want to get it done. But I don't let it near anywhere near my manuscript. I write it and it is edited by either I go through it myself or I pay my one friend in beer. She's a legal secretary. She usually looks through it sometimes, but
Yeah.
I also use it. I had it help me figure out how the fake African country for the Youngblood spinoff coming up. If I have a question about like a certain bullet trajectory, it gives me easier to understand stuff than Google does. So I help it with that. I don't let it near anything near what I'm writing because I don't want it to change anything.
Yeah, the one that I use for manuscripts is also like a local instance. So it's on my computer, so which, is helpful too. So also though, it made this background that's behind me because I can't afford to pay graphics guys
Yeah.
either.
That's another
Uh
thing too. Like I don't want to have to like lay down a lot of money to an artist and then get something I don't like and then have to pay again. You know what I mean?
right.
Like how many times have you and I talked to authors and they've said that exact same thing has happened? But it's easy. And
Yeah, and that
I know there's people going to be out there going, "Oh, you're not supporting artists." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not, but it fits my needs as an author personally."
well, I do support like authors, I mean artists like
Yeah, of course.
who
I have artist friends too. Like I support all my friends who do that stuff too. But again, it's a money thing on my end, and it's also a schedule thing and getting photo shoots set up.
yeah, well and then also like, some of them want like royalty cuts and like yeah, I they're you don't make much on books, as is, and it's difficult to do that. But like yeah, I have paintings and whatnot that, my artist friends have. Like I buy art, personally from me
Yeah,
usually.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And like and my friends like do a project, I support them 110%. But I'm not gonna like if it's somebody I don't know, I'm not gonna give them money. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna like
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then, like so I originally want to be like a technical writer for business, but what's funny now is like I'm using all my, editing skills to like edit my own books and whatnot, which is hard. It's hard to edit your own writing once you've like, you know, read it like 5,000 times.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's why I have like 3 books at a time. So I can shift, you
Oh,
know,
Speaking of
views and
speaking of editing, so this I like remember I told you I finally have a plan. I'm not winging it anymore. I finally have a layout to how I'm writing it, and this is gonna sound insane to some people. So I have one tab for the draft, and then I have a tab for the ebook and a tab for the paperback. It's all formatted how it is. And as I'm writing the draft, if I like it, that's a chapter. I'm putting it in where it is, and then I go through it, edit it to the I go through it once on the ebook, change what I want to change, then I edit it over to the paperback. It's insane, but it works for me.
That's basically how I do
Okay, good,
how I do things too.
good. Yeah,
Although there's also not enough coffee in the world, when writing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's not enough coffee, not enough C4 energy drinks or Bang anyway. So
Unfortunately, I can't smoke in the house either. So, um, otherwise, I would get a pipe, Nathaniel Hummel, but I don't
yeah,
have the.
yeah. I don't have a cool barn of a Scar H behind me where I can smoke my pipe and look uber based while I'm doing it.
If I had a barn, I would set up a podcast studio in there and just like never. I would basically live in that
Mhm.
thing, basically, if I could.
Yeah, if I had a
So
writing barn, dude, I'd be in there. I wouldn't leave.
yeah, I just someone needs to pick up Shadows of Deception as a TV series, and
Someone
then
needs to. Someone needs,
give me money so I can build like a studio in my backyard, and then
just never
I'll
leave
take
it.
I'll take 1 million and give some to Jake and also to Eric Bishop so they can both finance their movies as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Somebody needs to just realize the potential in the Men's Adventure Fiction Discord while Discord is still running, and and
yeah,
pick a lot of us up. But I don't want to get into that. You know my opinion on that whole face scanning shit. I'm not doing it, but to
yeah.
yeah.
It is an interesting premise for a book that I have
Hmm. Hmm.
plan.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see.
Anyway, well, dude, you're killing it, and always happy to have you on the show and chat with you.
Always.
If you weren't already, extremely busy, which I know you are, I would suggest that you should do a podcast yourself. But
Yeah.
I know that everyone's got things to do. So
Yeah, yeah. It's a slam not only with my job right now, but with all my other stuff, my writing, my poor excuse for a social life that's been busy surprisingly. But yeah, man, if I had the time, man, I'd be making podcasts, I'd be making folly films left and right. But I'm just gonna stick with the books for now on.
what's a social life? I'm a full-time author pretty much.
Yeah, it's a
I
rare.
don't know.
What the fuck is that? Yeah, it's a rarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm always happy to come on here and talk shop with you, man.
Oh, always happy to have you on, and when you've got the other two books, I'd love to have you back to talk about those as
Yeah,
well. So
you'll be getting this in the mail soon too. By the way.
I can't wait. Yeah, to have your books, to have your book, and then hopefully I'm getting Dawson's book soon because that looks pretty good. And I'm a little bummed out that 007 First Light got postponed, but hopefully I'll have a few books to read in between now and May when it
Yeah,
comes out.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And
but
congratulations on coming up with American Inferno. I tell you this every time that I read your stuff. You get especially your action scenes. They get better and better each time.
well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. And yeah, I would say the same for your villains. So you know, they get better each time, and you
Thank
know, you're killing it. So
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And appreciate the support you always give me too. Like I said, there is no set release date for Raid on Maplewood Hollow, but I just want to take a little bit at the end to. I do this all the time because I know my mom and dad are going to share this link on their Facebooks, right? This is not going to be for everybody. You know that as well as everybody else who's read it does. Um,
yeah,
yeah, so it's definitely more violent than my other stuff, and that's saying a lot. But again, this is not going to be for everybody. If you buy it and give it to your like 15-year-old kid and he starts freaking out, it's not my fault.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the same thing. I mean, Ivan wrote in the introduction of American Inferno, if this book makes you uncomfortable, it's meant to.
Yeah, it's meant to be. Yeah, like I touched on human trafficking and killing evil. This is expanding on that. Human trafficking is a
Yeah.
real is real. It's evil. Our elected leaders are probably involved in it. That being said, I am not suicidal whatsoever. I just want to let that be known as well. But but yeah, it's not meant to be a fun read. It's meant to be these evil bastards are getting what's coming to them, which is not looks like it's not going to happen in real life. So
Did you do much research into human trafficking? Like,
yeah,
to
yeah.
really, what was that?
So the biggest thing is what really kicked off writing this was, I think I'm forgetting where it was now, but I think it was I have it in my introduction. Give me a second. Yeah, so it was in Vermont in the September of 2024, right? So there was a map camp, which I'm not even gonna say what that is. That's what these fuckers want to be called now instead of sentient wood chipper food. But they set up this whole summer camp thing for them, and they're like, oh, there's gonna be no kids there. It's just gonna be a safe place for us to hang out. And the fucking government basically like I think they ended up like kind of being like you can't do it, but they agreed to have these people set this up. So camps like Maplewood Hollow exist. There's islands that exist about it. It's not meant to be sugar coated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, yeah. I mean, doing research on that type of thing. Yeah, I mean,
it's bad. It's really bad. Um, I usually don't have to walk away from research, but I had to do it a lot for this one.
yeah. I mean, research for. Well, I mean, really, I didn't really have to do much research for American Inferno because, like, I was kind of like in the middle
It's
of
happening. Just
of
turn on the
of,
news.
of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But yeah, I mean, I really I also really have to commend you. I don't know if you did this intentionally, but like also, I mean, this is a really tight, 100 pages or
Yeah, I
so.
think it's like a little bit over 100 pages, which is what I was aiming for. Because just to annoy you, I don't put page numbers in my stuff. So
I've noticed that, and as I've said before, Atticus is 100 in like it's not even $150. It's like 147.
yeah.
I wish they would give authors promo codes like they used to because I wish I could give you one for a discount. But like yeah, I would.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I might
It's
do it.
but yeah, like to do a book like this in under 100 pages, like I don't know because you could write like 3 novels on
Mhm.
this subject if you wanted, but
Yeah,
to do it in
yeah,
such a tight, format is impressive.
yeah. Thank
So
you, thank you. I appreciate it. It was I definitely did have to shorten it a little bit to make it where it is now because I would just get carried away and keep writing stuff. But I'm happy with how it turned out. Like I told you, I don't think it's definitely like my best work, but I felt like it's something that had to be told and written in a time like this. But
yeah, the way I would put it, and I should have put this in the blurb, but it's a nice breather, which is weird for me to say that a book this heavy is a breather, but this is a nice like I guess kind of intermission
before you get into the rest of the
between Merc
series,
Wars and what you have planned next.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I definitely encourage people to check this out when it comes out, and which hopefully we can announce that soon.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, Mr. Widmer, thanks for coming on, and real appreciate you, and
Thanks for having me.
also for being the one person I can text daily and being like, "Hey, do you think this is going too far?" And you're like, "Nope." So,
No,
but
but yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's always a blast.
yeah. So anyway, everyone go check out Jake Widmer's work. I'll have his Amazon page linked, and then also at Jake Widmer Author on Instagram. And are you on Twitter or?
I have a Twitter account and a Facebook account. I don't use them. My Twitter, I just have Twitter because I like scrolling through all the funny shit on there. Facebook is literally just getting to the point to just let my parents' friends know my books are out. I don't do anything on that. Instagram is where I'm at all the time.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, Facebook is pretty much like where I keep in contact with like relatives and people who I went to high school with who I wouldn't have contact with otherwise. But like other than that, like yeah, I don't even promote stuff on there very much anymore. So but anyway, yeah, like I said, folks, go and check out Jake's books. Real appreciate you coming on. And folks, we really appreciate you listening. I'll be back Wednesday night for the live show. But until then, take care. God bless. And God, freedom, legacy in that order. Thanks, everyone.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Thank you for watching the Whitfield Report live on the Right to Offend Media Network. Make sure to check out Sam's books on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. You can follow Sam on X at SamW_NGC and the Right to Offend Media Network at RTO Media. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, God bless, God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy, in that order.